Well,
trekking about the country?
I am on I-25. We're heading down. I got my two youngest girls in the car. They have a break from CSU. They graduate. One of them heads off to Rwanda, not to join you necessarily, but she heads to Rwanda for the Peace Corps. The other's off to advanced graduate degree in Paris. But for now, I'm spending the week with them, just hanging out. We're going to take photos. We're going to go have lunch. We're going to go get them some nice clothes. I'm just doing it all day long.
Just be careful. It's Denver, sir. It'd be dangerous down there. We got Venezuelans roaming the streets.
I rarely go, but we're going to go. We finally will go. Once a year, I head down toward Denver. Most of the times, I take a left out of Fort Collins and head toward Wyoming.
That's smarter move. If you're thinking of your spring break plans in Denver, maybe Colorado, but maybe avoid Denver. It's talking about putzes and idiots and homeless.
They are.
I think we have to. Defecation on the streets is not pleasant in many places in downtown. All right, Steve Laffey, let's dive into this. I liked your. One of those is we seem to be getting back to normalcy. For instance, we were all told we had to drive electric vehicles all the time. And then Elon Musk, who is the glory boy of the American left and the green new energy, he dared to side with President Trump. And now all these celebrities are getting rid of their Teslas and they're going back to gasoline. Evidently, the electric vehicle was not all that important after all.
No, it's wonderful to watch. And what comes out of it, though, is the desperation when things go back to normal. Start up some coal plants, right? and maybe produce a lot more oil and get in a big, like I'm driving an Expedition Max right now, you know? I got a large family. And but Al Gore is in desperation mode, right? So the people like Al Gore are putting out op-eds in the Wall Street Journal. I don't know why they take them, but they're things like, hey, everybody, these developments of, getting out of the Paris Treaty couldn't come at a worse time. And here's the thing about statistics, folks, that doesn't always come up. He cites that over the last 10 years, the global warming has increased $350 billion of cost in the world economy. Folks, the world economy is $115 trillion, not billion. Take 0.35 billion, divide by 115, you've got 0.3% added to the cost of, if there is any global warming, which I don't think there is. It's a minute number. Yet, Al Gore comes through the rest of the column all the time. This is what these people do. They talk about businesses and sustainability and social justice. And it goes throughout the whole column. There's only one number, the $350 billion number that we think is bogus. But he's trying to save his business. He's trying to save his consulting. He's trying to save his investments, which are going down steadily. And you're going to see a lot more desperation as I think the Trump administration and other people around the world, in Germany, everywhere, will go back to somewhat normal as we make a transition normally to some other types of energy with part of what we do. Remember, Toyota had it right. Subaru had it right. The famous quote from Toyota was, we kind of give people what they want. They didn't build any electric cars. Not like the dunces at Ford and General Motors, who were sycophants to Biden and now sycophants to Trump. At least they're on the right side now, not going to lose maybe tens of billions of dollars or $40,000 a F-150 to build an electric one.
I'm wondering, I don't know why Al Gore's so panicked. I'm sure he's made enough money off
right.
Carbon buyback and things like
yeah.
that. I think Al could probably be retired on a beach somewhere, but, he sees that gravy train floating down the river, and he's like, I want to say part of that. These guys are charlatans. It's kind of like the Al Sharptons, the Rainbow Coalition. I think Dr. Ridgely, they all found a way to make money off of kind of a false crisis.
And really off the backs of hardworking middle-class people who got totally hosed by what Professor Wrigley was talking about just now, by global warming hoaxes, by electric cars, by what happened to used cars in the pandemic, what also happened when no one would admit, as I talked to you on April 20 or February or March of 2020, when we talked about how the Chinese virus, later called COVID, actually came out of a lab, and now it's starting to come out more and more that it did, and yet no punishment for Xi, no punishment for China, communist China, and everybody's sort of living with it because they all wanted to placate communist China, and that hurt the middle class even worse.
Yeah, you sent me the story from the Wall Street Journal print edition. Nobody wants the COVID truth. I want the COVID. I'm glad that not just it came from
Yeah.
accountability. And I don't see that coming for whether it's communist China or any of these clowns that Joe Biden pardoned. There's going to be no accountability, but they did a lot of damage.
They did a lot of damage, and I hope, well, listen, I don't think the electric pen that Trump talked about is going to fly, but at least he's talking about it, right? Like Fauci should be brought up on charges. He knew the truth. He didn't do the right thing as a government official, and he sacrificed millions of people on the altar of political correctness, and he knew it came out of a lab, I believe. I think they all did. How would I know? How would I have tapes of being on your show and other shows after watching microbiologists talk about how it couldn't possibly have come from monkeys and it had to come out of a lab, and there is one in Wuhan? I mean, how could we not know this? And why wouldn't that have been, if that had been front and center of Donald Trump's campaign, he would have won re-election. If he had gone out, we should have went after them the way they went after big tobacco, which was wrong. We should have went after China and put their treasuries in abeyance to pay victims of the Chinese virus. Why didn't we do that?
There's a lot of questions, isn't there? History books will write it. Very quickly, Steve, I want to go to this other story. You sent me a headline. Most people didn't say, only you would check a website called Notes from Poland.
Right.
But it's Poland votes to suspend participation in the Treaty on Conventional Armed Forces in Europe. This one caught your attention. Tell me why.
Well, Poland and other countries that face up with Russia and Belarus have gotten out of a couple of treaties to do with armed forces and to do with landmines. So they're going to put landmines everywhere as they buttress themselves for the coming invasion after Russia gets done with Ukraine. If that's the way it goes, they think they're coming for all of Europe. So take the next step, though, and I want to be very clear, because I know there's a lot of people listening think Trump was going to handle the Ukraine thing in 24 hours, or it's not being handled. And the other countries know it. And so what's happening all across Europe is that Poland is going to get, one way or the other, nuclear weapons. So if you're okay with that, everybody, and they're not USA nuclear weapons that they put on the land for them, if everybody's okay with that, then Germany's going to get them. France already has them. And here's what's about to happen. And this is why the UK stock market, the German stock market are going up, and we're kind of going down. There's a big translation happening across the ocean where now they're getting their act together militarily. They're going to spend $600 billion. Germany's off their debt break. And guess where they're going to buy it from? Germans. The French buy it from the French. If you have an investment in someone who makes F-35s or Lockheed, you got a problem, because they're not going to buy it there anymore. You're going to see a massive defense buildup in Europe. And the last couple of times we had that, oh yeah, that's right, when the Germans got going, we had world wars. So as long as everybody's okay with everybody having their own nuclear weapons, and I'll tell you another thing, if this thing's not settled soon, you watch. I said on your show that if I were the Ukrainians a couple of years ago, they're not defending Russia. I would move in and take part of Russia. They did. Always think of what you would do. If I was running Ukraine, I'd get some nuclear weapons and say I have them. And I think that's going to happen. You heard it here first.
Let's back up. And how do we get to this point? Obviously, NATO is there, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, and yet Trump has been pointing out, hey, why are we putting all the money in NATO, and why are you Europeans not pitching in? They changed that. Are the Europeans real serious about their defense? I mean, they obviously have Big Brother USA back there, but to have to be begged and shamed to pay into the NATO fund like they're supposed to, and to put in part of their own GDP into their own defense, they won't even do that. And it's like the Europeans are just asking for trouble for decades.
Yes, and let's put it this way. Trump did a good job cajoling people in his first term to increase defense spending, and they started to. And if he had had a second term, if he hadn't screwed up the shutdowns, and you and I talked about this, and I was right about this, he would have had a second term, and I think it would have gotten up to 3 or 4%. And I don't believe he ever would have got out of Afghanistan. Remember, I said on your show all the time, he keeps saying he's going to. He knows he shouldn't. It's only $20 billion a year. Almost nobody's dying. He won't get out, and he didn't. But when Biden got out in a disastrous way because he was the worst president ever in the history of America, Putin went in and thought he had a better force. He doesn't. He has a terrible force. In fact, let's put it this way. Putin is lost. No matter how you slice it, everybody, Putin lost. And so what's happening now is Trump is going back. It's two things. It's the tariffs which the people in Europe are like, okay, we can't do this anymore. The people right now in Canada, up near Quebec, there are people sitting around saying, no matter what happens with these tariffs, we've got to unload aluminum somewhere else. We ain't shipping it all to America anymore. We're not giving them the break. Within a year, I want this stuff in Europe. I want it in Asia. They're the low-cost producer. It's happening all throughout Europe, and this is the mistake Donald Trump's making. He should have kept cajoling, right? Instead of going back and forth, because now Pandora's box is open. Since 1945, Jimmy, when we decided that we would build up our military and bail them out in Europe, and they would obey us, basically, and we would protect the waterways, the oceans. It benefited America overall, yet we paid too much for their defense. I get it. And now it's all unraveling the way it did before World War I, and in some ways the way it did before World War II. And you watch, when Germany gets a nuclear weapon, you're not going to like it.
Yeah. Steve Laffey, always a pleasure. Enjoy shopping with your daughters today. Be safe on the streets of Denver. Keep your eye out for a little dweeby mayor named Mike Johnson. He's probably looking for a fight with Tom Holman. And watch out for those Venezuelans.
I will watch out for
them.
them.
Been shipped out the country.
Ship them back. Thanks, Jimmy. Love you, buddy.
God bless you, my friend.